that's just that's all I had to say.
So that goes back to the conversation of, I agree, I think that they put together a great best management practices manual. The question is, in these, that there are more, some areas are more sensitive than others. It's kind of like the hillside ordinance. You have sloped areas are more sensitive than others. And so it's saying, okay, from this area, from this point downstream, the best man will implement the best management practices.
But in reality, from this point downstream, 90% of it is developed. So you have no option on what you can do with it. So you're picking on the ones that are left. Now, a lot of what's there, you can't do anything about. It's already grandfathered in. And that's a concern for me, that as you go along, we may have, you know, it just seems to me that it's kind of muddying everything up. And I don't live near the stream, but the whole government has grown enormously in the last 30, 40 years. And where we used to look at, I started in federal employment in 1962. So I'm way back. And we were really, you know, we weren't much into telling people what to do. We were kind of considered ourselves public servants. And it seemed like the whole thing has evolved, and the public's kind of getting left out of we got planning and we've got ideas. It seems to me like the individual is getting left out of it. I don't know as...
we called the list, and I didn't find one person who said, and these are mostly older people, who said that they got the letter. We did all 1,300 people on that list.
That's one point I would like to make.
And we had to look up the phone numbers to do
well,
it.
the people that I've talked to on the street,
They're supposed to send a letter out to all the 1,300 that are
this is the first I've heard of it. And one gentleman specifically asked me to ask you to consider tabling this for a little more time for public input, because, you know, I just kind of walked the street. You know, after I got your response and said, yes, your stream is in the protected zone, I just said, hey guys, you might want to be aware of this, you know. And, you know, gosh, 9 times out of 10 it was, what is this thing again? You know, and I know that there's been articles in the paper. Not a lot of people read the paper anymore, I guess. But there's a lot of people who aren't going to know this is effective until they try to build it.
So I guess they send out the letters, and I don't know, you know, may or may not have received them. I can tell you though that we've had workshops we've had public workshops. We've had people here two or three times, for sure twice, to talk about it. It's been on at the EAC twice. It was at the Planning Commission 3 times, and they passed it 7-2. Now it's been at the council 3 times.
Nobody
Even if you didn't get the letter, we've taken more time with this than any other project I've been involved with.
And a lot of hard
which is
work.
really good, I think.
Yeah, well, it needs a lot of time. And I know there's been an effort made to inform the public. I'm not saying that you've tried to be a secret about it or anything like that, but, you know, maybe I'm just busy and I didn't notice it, but until I read the article about the second reading in the paper, first I heard it. And that's maybe I need to be a little bit more involved citizen or something.
Come to Ward 4.
I'm here, aren't I? But anyway, I was asked to pass it on, and I'll shut up now because I've kind of dominated
for the sake of time, I'm going to take Rhonda.
Well, I just want to say that I have listened very carefully, Mr. Lawler, to every single email, every single phone call, every single one. And I am inclined to vote for this tomorrow night, and I'm going to tell you all why, and I don't know that I'll get a chance to talk tomorrow night, but I do not believe, after all my studying, listening, reading, talking to lawyers, talking to people, that this is a taking. I believe it is a land use issue. I do not believe that the impact of it is going to be so serious that folks won't have an opportunity to do what they want to do with their land in most cases. I really believe that it's been written in such a way that people will be able to do. I believe you will have an opportunity to do what you want to do in property. I believe that. And the third thing I guess I would say is that when we talk about a point and start looking forward, we have, like Sarah said, first time I've heard Sarah give that presentation tonight, which is why I was listening carefully. I've not met with Sarah. I've not sat and listened to her talk like she did tonight. I've read everything. But I think when we talk about a point in time and looking forward, that's how we live as a community. That's how we make our community better, greater. That's how Fayetteville becomes even a better city than it is now. And I'm going to vote for this tomorrow night, I believe, unless something happens between now and tomorrow night. I'll still read every email that comes my way. I hate it that people are upset about it, but I do believe that this is going to be very good for our community. And so I just wanted to speak since since it sounded like someone at least here thinks I'm not listening.
I was cut off because I wanted to say,
I don't want to stir that
I wanted
up
to
again,
say
but I
something a
just
little more
want to say,
benign. But, you know.
Yeah, I understand, and I've tried to listen to you very carefully too, and everybody equally. So I think it's wonderful that we had a better
I've read it
crowd
over and
here
over.
tonight.
Everybody's complimenting you
We've had
for writing back to the Tea Party folks. I see
Well,
the
I
100
think
times a
we
day.
have so much to be proud of, Matt. Thank you for coming tonight and giving up your evening away from your family. We have a great staff that does that sort of thing to help us get the word out to people. And thank you, some of you who came tonight, who haven't been before, I hope you'll come. We've got some other things coming up too. We all need to work together to get, and appreciate your respectful and kind way of talking and giving us more things to think about. Very, very
Tell your
much.
neighbors to come
Very much.
tomorrow.
I think we're gonna have a crowd.
It went to 10 o'clock on that second reading.
This-
A
I was
question.
there for the whole thing.
If this passes tomorrow night, when is it effective?
30 days. Ordinance is going to affect 30 days after they pass.
Is that automatic, or can that time period be changed?
That's I think it's beyond Fayetteville. I think that's how an aldermanic code works, which is in the state of
Same
Arkansas.
state law.
Yeah, but we can check on that. But I'll check. Yes.
Well, let me say this. I'm in favor, more now than ever before, of less government. And I was actually afraid to say anything, afraid that whatever I might say may prejudice city government, I'll put that in quotation marks, against anything I may try to do in the future. I'm not ordinarily paranoid, but I am concerned. I'm not being very articulate either, but I am nervous as all get out about this. I moved here in December of 2009, closed on that house on October 30th, knew nothing about this, do not recall having received any letter on this subject. Didn't realize that that concrete-lined lagoon, because there's sufficient vegetation at the exit end of that concrete ditch, that there's always water in that ditch. And until the city went in and cleaned out most of the cattails, that ditch was almost totally grown over. They did that this year. But I would not have bought that house had I known that this ordinance was going to be even considered. I might have bought one across the street, and I probably could have in a couple more months. I have a daughter who lives down the street, granddaughters, that's why we moved up here. But I guess, again, what I'm really trying to say is I think this thing goes farther than it should, particularly with existing uses, or maybe not so much existing uses, but logical extensions of existing uses. I promised my wife a back porch sunroom when we sold the house in El Dorado. I'm slow at spending money, and so we have not done that yet. And now, it appears that in order to do so,